But in summer times is obviously our slow time. We take a lot of time off, we take some afternoons off here and there. I can pretty much guarantee you that in 3 Fridays, the first away game, I'm probably not going to be around here after 11 o'clock. I'll come in the morning, check my email, do just a couple things, and I'm probably going to go home. And I'll either go home and hang out with the family, or I might go play golf. I don't know. But I'm going to go do something. I'm not going to be in here. I can tell you that. So that's kind of how we balance it of, taking those opportunities we have, like on away games or something, if there's no other events, and taking those times and kind of enjoying, your time and get away from it and all that.
So. Also, kind of going back to motivating a little bit more. So I guess this was your first real job out of college, right? So how did, when you first got in here, how did your boss motivate you to do well and just, continue good performance, that sort of thing?
I don't think it was really anything that my boss did at the time. It was probably more me just wanting to prove myself that motivated me, and I've always got a fact of satisfaction if I'm out somewhere, if I'm eating lunch somewhere and the table next to me somebody's talking about, oh man, I had such a good time at the game yesterday or something like that, because they have no idea what I do, you know what I mean? If I hear people like that saying that kind of stuff, I know that we've done our job to make it fun and entertaining and all that, and then I guess even going, back, I used to do a lot of the posters and stuff like that. I used to, design them myself and going around town and seeing them up. I mean, that was always, kind of, I guess, motivating and, satisfying to see that. I guess outside of those, it was just me, continuing to want to grow myself and all that, and just kind of work up, which I have. I mean, going from an intern to director of marketing, I've kind of been able to work my way up. So.
Okay, good.
You got one? I got one.
Okay, go.
Besides seeing the posters and hearing fans talk about how much they like it, is there anything else that you would say kind of self-motivates you in your job and stuff besides that stuff, or is that pretty much?
No, I mean, for me, I guess obviously there's number-wise, I guess, that you always look at if it's the amount of tickets you bring in or setting attendance records or something like that. That's some small goals we always try to personally do for our own sports. I guess, for instance, last year, my main sports I work on are football, baseball, and gymnastics. Obviously, football last year, we set some, had a great season, had some record crowds and all that. And in gymnastics, we did the same, set a single meet attendance record. Baseball did everything that they, do all the time, setting records, leading the country in, in attendance, all that. So, there's those numbers to kind of be proud of and brag about that you had a part in that. But really it's, it's coming back to, I guess, to me, of getting the satisfaction of hearing other people talk about going to the games and how much fun they had, and
their game day experience.
Yeah. Because that means we're doing the right thing and getting them to come back to the next game and buying that ticket or anything like that. So.
Okay, good deal. So, kind of, how you're motivated by your job. How do you motivate your coworkers and your team here, the ones that work with you here? I don't know.
Pretty much the same way of trying to get them to kind of start thinking in that mode of having. I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of explain it. I have the thought in my head. It's just putting it out. it's getting them to kind of think outside the box, I guess, a little bit, maybe to kind of think of new creative ways to get messages out there and to get people to the events. And like, somebody like, Jana, who's our intern, she's been from a student to an intern now, and I think it's satisfying to her to give her all of soccer, and she's got her hand on soccer, and I think that motivates her, to be able to learn everything that goes into making that event and go off and all that, you know what I mean? Because ultimately it's going to help them on down the road when they go to the next job or anything like that, to have that experience to move up in their careers and all that. So it's trying to motivate them to learn the most, be proactive about stuff instead of reactive in some regards, and kind of think outside the box to do those new things that we can do. That's going to add to the overall fan experience. Hopefully that all makes sense.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding.
Yes,
Completely.
it does. Because I was going to say, I know, and like a lot of it is self-motivating, like whenever you see those things and like hear people talking about it. But is there anyone in specific here that you work with that really, if you're having a hard time with something or, this certain sport, struggling there, is there somebody that motivates you, and how do they do that?
Normally for me, to be quite honest with you, it's probably my wife, because I go home and I complain about this or complain about that, and then she calms me down. But, I guess in those situations, I guess we all try to work together as a team, because that's really what we are as a team. So like in those kind of situations, if we're stuck on something or somebody else is stuck, we all just try to get other input from everybody else, and kind of handle it that way. Our bottom line is to basically sell tickets, get people to the games, and make revenue. So that's what's motivating all of us in general. So it doesn't matter if it's my idea for basketball, which basketball is not my sport, or if it's somebody else's idea for baseball or gymnastics. If it makes sense and it's going to help us accomplish those goals, then we're going to do it, It doesn't matter if it comes from me, somebody else, Catherine on our staff, whoever. So, we all try to just pitch in all of our ideas together and kind of go from there. So, but we all kind of, basically to answer your question, probably each one of us motivates the other and kind of leans on each other.
Okay.
To help come up with some of the things we do. So.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Is there any demotivators, like maybe when a team's having like a rough season, does that make it kind of like, it's harder to...
Well, sure. Those kind of things happen. When you get yelled at by a coach in front of the whole thing, like happened to me the first game of the football season, obviously that gets you down. Those type of things. Whenever something goes wrong, obviously those don't help either, but those things happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen in pretty much any job, but our job's to make sure, I guess when they do happen, that the normal fans can't even tell that something went wrong. And that's probably what happens majority of times. I know something didn't go exactly how it's supposed to go, but I guarantee you that 70,000, I guess other people in the stadium probably didn't even notice. But it upsets me because I know that wasn't supposed to go that way. And we have that happen. I won't say all the time, but like quite a bit. Obviously our job is kind of, I always control it, or basically I always call it controlled chaos, because it's always kind of running around thinking on your feet, changing this, changing that at the last moment. So it's controlled chaos is what every game day is for me.
Is there any kind of specific training programs that you and your staff have gone through that have helped you in the field alone, or just do you
We do. there is a national association for marketers, for collegiate marketers.
Okay.
It's called NACMA. It's the National Association of National Association of Collegiate Marketing Administrators. It's a kind of a long one, but I guess there's always professional development stuff they're doing. If it's webinars, conference calls, they send out emails almost every week with different practices. And then I guess over the summer there's always a week-long conference. This past year it was in Dallas. I think next year it's in Orlando. And to go to that, and basically there's all these breakout sessions of best practices type stuff, or different ideas to do this or do that. So yeah, we pretty much always try to go to that. Unfortunately, this year I didn't get the chance to go. The rest of our staff went. I didn't get the chance to go because of it being, I guess close to my daughter being born. I didn't want to be stuck 5 hours away if I got that phone call. So, but that's always good to go to be able to, I guess, meet people, pick people's brains, that sort of thing. So.
Is there like a certain formal or informal system in place for Razorback marketing with motivating or anything like that, or?
Or just kind of what we've been talking
Yeah,
about
just
here.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that there's any kind of formal system. I mean, there's not like awards or like anything like that we give out. Although we do some fun staff awards kind of at the end of the year as kind of like a little joke type deal. But there's nothing formally like that. I mean, it's more just, self-motivation, self-gratifying, hey, that was a good job, like after our first game, Jeff Long sent us a message. He basically sent it to Brian, and Brian sent it to all of us. So, hey, like, good job with the first game type of deal. So, I mean, obviously that's all, good to hear those kind of things coming from your ultimate boss, but there's really not any kind of formal, type